If someone had told me I'd fall for the guy who lived across the hall, in a city that never sleeps, I would have laughed. New York wasn't supposed to be about love. It was supposed to be about starting over. I moved here in November. Cold, gray, unapologetic November. The city was already lit up for Christmas, pretending to be magical, but all I felt was lost. I had just left behind a life that didn't fit me anymore. A long-term relationship that faded into silence. A job that drained me. A version of myself I no longer recognized. So I packed up, bought a one-way ticket to New York, and rented a shoebox apartment in a 5-story walk-up with creaky floors and no elevator. I told myself I didn't need anyone. Not a boyfriend, not a friend, not even a roommate. I was here to figure things out, alone. And then he moved in. I first heard him before I saw him. Heavy footsteps, the sound of keys fumbling late at night, a low hum of music through the wall, sometimes indie, sometimes jazz, sometimes nothing at all. He was quiet, but not invisible. The first time we met, it wasn't romantic. I was in sweatpants, carrying groceries, fumbling for my keys with numb fingers. He held the door open for me. I muttered a thank you. He nodded. That was it. But when I looked up, I noticed his eyes, deep, calm, a little sad. The kind of eyes that make you wonder what he's been through. I didn't plan to fall for him. Honestly, I didn't even know his name. But somehow, little by little, he started showing up in the quiet parts of my day. And that's where the story really begins. It's strange how the smallest things begin to matter when you're lonely. The sound of footsteps in the hallway at night used to mean nothing to me. But now when I heard his shoes scuff against the wood floor, my heart would skip, just a little. I found myself pausing my music, hoping to hear the soft click of his door opening. I told myself it was just curiosity, just neighborly interest, but we both knew it was more than that. He wasn't loud. He didn't flirt or try to impress me. He didn't even ask for my number. But somehow he was present in my life in a way no one else had been in a long time. There was one night I'll never forget. It had snowed all day, and the city was quiet in that rare, magical way New York sometimes is when blanketed in white. I sat by my window with a blanket and a mug of tea, watching snowflakes fall under the streetlights. I felt still, peaceful, and yet I couldn't stop thinking about him, what he was doing in his apartment right then, whether he ever looked out his own window and thought about me. As if the universe heard me, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, he stood there with a shy smile and 2 steaming cups of hot cocoa. I made too much, he said simply, but we both knew that wasn't true. We sat on the hallway floor, backs against our doors, sipping cocoa in silence. It wasn't awkward. It was gentle, comfortable, the kind of silence you don't want to break. I used to do this with my sister when we were kids, he said suddenly. Snow days, cocoa, sitting by the heater. I hadn't done it in years. I looked at him then, not just glanced, but really looked. There was something in his expression, a kind of quiet sadness, like he carried memories that weighed just enough to pull his shoulders down a little, even when he smiled. That night, something shifted. Not between us, exactly, but in me. I realized I didn't just like him. I needed him in a way that scared me. Because when you've been hurt before, when you've trusted and been disappointed, it's easier to keep people at a distance, to pretend that solitude is a choice, not a shield. But he was patient. He didn't ask for anything. He just kept showing up, in small ways that felt like big ones. A glance held a second too long. A gentle, take care as we passed each other. A note slipped under my door when the building lost heat. Let me know if you get too cold. I've got extra blankets. Who even says things like that anymore? I started to imagine what it would be like to wake up and know he was right there. Not just as a neighbor, but as something more. To share morning coffee. To share silence. To share Sunday mornings in pajamas and sleepy smiles. But every time I let my heart drift toward that thought, I pulled back, because wanting something doesn't mean you get to have it. And hope can be dangerous when you're not sure it's returned. Still, deep down, I think I knew there was something building between us, something quiet, steady, undeniable, and soon it would be too big to ignore. Sometimes it's not the grand gestures that break you, it's the little things. The way he always held the door just long enough for me to slip through. The way he noticed when I changed shampoos. The way he remembered how I liked my tea. More milk, less sugar. Little, insignificant things, unless your heart's involved. And mine was, deeply. But I hadn't told him. I hadn't even admitted to myself, not out loud. Because if you name it, it becomes real. And real things can be lost. That morning when I saw him with her, the world tilted. She was everything I wasn't. Elegant, composed, confident. Her laughter was easy, the way she touched his arm, casual, familiar. I watched them walk together down the street talking like people who had history. Maybe they did. Maybe they were reconnecting. Maybe I was just in the way. And that realization hit me like cold water in winter. All those moments, our hallway chats, the shared cocoa, the scarf he returned, the hoodie he lent, they started to feel one-sided. Like I had misread everything. Like maybe he was just being kind. Like maybe I had been foolish to hope. That night, I didn't wait in the hallway. I didn't linger near the mailboxes pretending to look for a letter. I walked straight past his door, keys clutched too tightly in my hand, heart pounding like I was running from something. He opened his door just as I reached mine. "Hey," he said. His voice was soft, familiar, but it made my stomach twist. "Hey," I replied, barely glancing at him. "You okay?" That question again. I hated how he could read me. I hated how he could sense when something was off. And I hated that I didn't know how to lie to him without it sounding like one. "Just tired," I murmured. He nodded slowly, his gaze lingering on me. "All right, sleep well." I didn't sleep well. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thoughts swirling like a storm I couldn't quiet. I kept replaying every interaction, every smile, every subtle touch. Was I the only one who felt it, or had I built a whole fantasy in my head? But if it wasn't real, why did he always seem to see me? The next day we didn't see each other, or maybe we avoided each other. I wasn't sure. I threw myself into work, into errands, into anything that kept my mind busy. But nothing helped. He was in my head and my space, in every quiet corner of my life. 3 days passed like that. And then, on the 4th night, there was a knock on my door. Not loud, just one soft knock. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to pretend I wasn't home. But my feet moved on their own. I opened the door and there he was, holding a paper bag and a bottle of wine. "I ordered too much Thai food," he said, "and I remember you once said you liked green curry." He paused, his voice gentler now. "Thought maybe you'd want to share." I looked at him stunned. "Why?" He smiled a little sheepishly. "Because I miss talking to you, and because I think something's off, and I'd like to fix it." I stepped aside. "Come in." That night we ate dinner on the floor of my apartment. No candles, no romantic music. Just take-out boxes, 2 mismatched forks, and the low hum of the radiator. At first, we talked about random things, movies, work, the neighbor upstairs who vacuumed at midnight. But eventually silence crept in, and he said, "I saw you pull away, and I think I know why." I stared at him. "Do you?" "The woman you saw me with," he said, "she's my sister." I blinked. "Your sister?" He chuckled. "Hannah. She was in town for the weekend. We don't see each other much, but when we do, we laugh a lot. I guess that looked like something else." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. My shoulders dropped. My heart started beating normally again. He looked at me carefully. "Is that what you thought? That I was with someone?" I nodded, and I felt stupid, like I'd imagined everything between us. His voice softened. "You didn't imagine it." He scooted closer, just a little. I felt it too. Every day, from the moment you dropped your groceries and cursed under your breath, I laughed. It was small but real. I wanted to say something sooner, he continued, but you looked like someone still healing, and I didn't want to rush you. I was healing, I whispered. Still am, but maybe you're part of that process. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was so light, so careful, like he was afraid I'd disappear. I don't want to be just your neighbor anymore, he said. If you'll let me be something more. And in that moment, the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, all melted like snow under sunlight. Because sometimes, love doesn't come crashing in. It arrives quietly, patiently, one hallway conversation at a time. I don't remember when I fell asleep. All I know is that his laughter still echoed faintly in my head as I lay down on the couch. And I'm not even sure if I dreamt it, or if it really happened. That moment when he gently touched my cheek and whispered, "You don't have to be strong with me." But when I opened my eyes the next morning, everything felt real. Sunlight streamed softly through the curtains, landing on the blanket someone had carefully tucked around me. The scent of fresh coffee lingered in the air, and on the little kitchen table, my favorite mug, the one that says Brooklyn Baby, was waiting. He was standing with his back to me, wearing a simple gray sweater, stirring his coffee slowly with a spoon. "Good morning," I said, my voice still hoarse with sleep. He turned around, that same gentle smile in his eyes, no awkwardness, no rush. "Morning, you snored a little around 3 a.m., he teased. I laughed, then covered my face with one hand. "Oh no, seriously?" "Cute actually," he said, settling into the chair across from me. We didn't need to say much. Everything had been said the night before. The misunderstandings, the fear, the uncertainty. And now we sat in the quiet after the storm. That strange, sacred calm when your heart finally knows you were chosen. Not because they had no other options, but because they simply wanted you. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup, eyes drifting back to his face. "You know," I started slowly. "I used to think I wasn't meant for New York. Too loud, too crowded. I was scared I'd just disappear into it and no one would even notice." He nodded. "I felt that too. And then I met you," I continued, more to myself than him. "Somehow everything started to have color, smell, meaning, laughter at the right time. You didn't try to save me, but somehow you did." He looked at me for a long moment, then gently placed his hand on the table, palm open, inviting. I placed mine into his. No hesitation, no walls, no more distance between two apartment doors. Just a winter morning, 2 cups of coffee in a beginning neither of us planned for, but couldn't walk away from anymore. Love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers through cocoa hoodies, hallway glances, until one day you look up and realize, this is home.